Today we got a fun video. We got the carbon fiber paddle shifters and I got the carbon fiber steering wheel trim piece. Let's install it. First thing we got to do is disconnect this battery. That's why this rag's here, because if I disconnect the battery and I close the trunk, I can't open the trunk. So first things first, let's disconnect this battery. The reason you want to disconnect the battery is because if you don't, you risk getting some engine faults and some codes on the car. So you don't want that. So I'm going to put this carpet here. That way there's no chance for it to touch it. All right, so the battery's disconnected. For some reason, they tell you to wait 5 to 10, 15 minutes. I'm not really sure why. There's no lights on. Horn doesn't work. So in the meantime, while we're waiting, we're going to go ahead and change the cabin air filter because this AC stinks. So the cabin filter is pretty easy. There's two little tabs right there. You just release them with a flathead screwdriver. Then you can kind of work this piece out, but don't pull too hard because there is a cable connected, and that is for your ambient lighting down here. I don't know if you can see that cable right there, but that needs to be disconnected before you pull this all the way down. I mean, actually, you got some room, but not too much. So here's the wire you got to pull out. I use a little tiny screwdriver to poke right in that little hole, and that releases the clip. Then you can pull it right out, and you can move this out of the way. So under here is where the cabin air filter lives. There's two Torx T20 screws. So we got to go ahead and remove those. And once we remove those, we can remove the cabin air filter. All right, so you remove the two T20 Torx bits, and then there's two release clips at the end. You just push them in, and then you can pull the whole thing down. Now, your cabin filter is already falling out. Now, keep in mind how it comes out, because obviously, it's got to go back in the same way. All right, there it is. Hasn't been replaced since 2023. I asked the service rep, is that normal? He said, yeah, that's normal. Bruh. I don't think so. I'm in Arizona, really dusty. Let's go ahead and put this new one in. All right, we got the new cabin air filter in. We secured it with the clips. Now we're gonna put the Torx T20s back in. All right, if I were to do this again, here's some words of advice. Get some knee pads or get something soft that you can put under your legs because the knees hurt. All right, here's the fun part, guys. We have to remove the airbag. And to do that, there's two release clips. There's a hole right here, and there's a hole right on the other side. These have been poked before, meaning this was probably replaced, or they had to remove this for whatever reason when they replaced that clamshell. If you guys remember from the first video, this was torched. It was all jacked up. The turn signal was jacked up, so it's all fixed now. Nice and new. So let's go ahead and stick this in. This can take either 2 hours, or for some people, just one to 2 minutes. So let's see what happens here. I'm gonna stick this through. Right side off again. So I'm feeling something, almost like you're hitting a spring. That's what it feels like. All right. Well, that didn't take that long. You know, I should have started a timer when we started to see how long this actually takes. But here's the new carbon fiber paddle shifters. We got the airbag off. So you don't want to pull too hard because there is a wire that you got to disconnect in there. Push the clip down. And boom. There's a BMW airbag. Now also what you want to do is probably take a picture of this so you can see how the wires are. The paddle shifters are these blue wires right here. There's one on here, one on this side. And they're kind of held in by these little, I don't know what you want to call them, like plastic clips essentially. You don't got to unclip anything. You kind of just have to move them out of the way. What you're trying to do is reveal the Torx screw that's right there. So that needs to come off so the paddle shifter can come off. All right, so I spent all this time trying to remove the blue clip that's actually inside the steering wheel, but I just remembered you don't even need to do that. All you need to do is transfer this to the new paddle shifter. So I pulled out the pin, which is right here. I just used a little tiny screwdriver. It was right here. You can see where it was before. I just pushed through. It released it. Now there's the other piece that I actually forgot how this part comes out. It is the spring. So I'm trying to finesse it out, but I'm not quite sure how this one comes out. So once I figure that part out, I'm going to touch bases with you guys. Knowing what I know now, I would have got shifters and spent a little bit more money on ones that came with the harness, so I didn't have to do this part, because this is actually kind of tedious, especially considering the spacing. You don't really have as much spacing as you'd like in this car. Oh, okay, I might have just got it. But before we put it in, I have to put that pin in. Okay, pin in. Hey, we got shifting. All right, so we got the second paddle shifter in. All we got to do now is feed this Torx bit back in, and then we're almost done. All right, guys. we got paddle shifters. And they work. So now we're going to take this back here, clip it right back in where it belongs. And then we got to clean this up with some alcohol. Clean this up with some alcohol, and then we're going to put the new pieces on, which I have right here. So this isn't real carbon fiber, but it definitely does the job. All right, so I just wiped this down with a microfiber towel. Now I'm just going over it with a little bit of alcohol just to make sure that this is nice and clean and is going to stick properly. So the first piece I'm going to stick on is the heated steering wheel one. If you guys are interested in purchasing this, I'll put a link below if you want it. It's from eBay. It was like 70 bucks. Comes straight from China, but they said that it would take, I don't know, like 20 plus days, but I got it within like 5 of ordering it. So that was pretty cool. So we're going to line this up. Once you know it's all good, push that sucker in. Make sure your heated steering wheel button works if you got one. And if it does, push in all the edges. It looks like we're pretty good. It is sticking up a little bit here, but I think when the airbag is on it, shouldn't be an issue. I know earlier I said that fitment didn't look right with the bigger piece, but I just test fitted the airbag and it worked just fine. So now let's do this one. All right, the last piece of 3M tape is removed. So now all we got to do is stick this puppy on. So we're going to make sure there's no dust here, which it looks pretty good, and look for a good fitment. Give it a nice push. All right, guys. Hey, I think it looks pretty solid, but we won't know until we put in the airbag. So we should probably do that once I make sure all these edges are pushed in, because once you put the airbag on, you can't access these areas anymore. We got our airbag back here. You got to remember to plug it in. You got to make sure it clips in. So you want to listen for that clip. I gave it a little tug. It's not pulling out, which means it is in. Line that puppy up. And push it in. And just like that, we got the carbon fiber accents with the carbon fiber paddle shifters. Now let me put this light on so you guys can see it properly. As you can see now with the light on, it looks sick. Matches so well, so much better than the stock ones. I mean, these are cool, but no, not as cool as these. These are much better. Now we got to connect the battery and actually make sure that these actually work. So let's go for a quick ride. All right, so we're driving right now. This is the moment of truth. Let's make sure these paddle shifters actually work. So we're going to kick it into sport mode. Hit the paddle shifter. Oh, yeah. We got paddle shifting, baby. Smooth, easy. All right, I wouldn't say easy. It was actually kind of hard, but it didn't take that long, honestly. I'm going to look at my phone to see when my friend called me, because that's pretty much when we started, right when we wrapped up the cabin air filter. I would say probably an hour, hour and a half max. I mean, I'm not going to look at my phone right now, but paddle shifters work. The carbon fiber looks amazing. We got the carbon fiber here. I didn't make a video on it, but I did do a shorts video on this carbon fiber, so pretty much the same thing. You just stick it on, so although it's not real, it still looks the part, and I think it gives the car a very sporty look. All that's missing is this piece needs some carbon fiber, but we'll get to that sooner than later, because, I mean, this one, okay, so I'll be honest. The only reason I really did do the carbon fiber was, like I said, I think the guy before who had the car just didn't take the best care of it. So the center console was scratched up. There was little scratches on the steering wheel, that just like minor things. So that's why I covered it up with the carbon fiber. This piece was actually clean, which is why I didn't cover it up. But now that everything is carbon, we're going to have to just fill it in. So that's a wrap, guys. The camera's literally at 0%, so I have to make this quick. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'm going to post more BMW M340i content, more car content in general as I come across it. Hope to see you guys soon.